unverified her ex-husband. She made him the bad guy.
The divorce would have never even been out if he didn't file the motion to use our full and legal names.
Then she had to go and she had to get new energy. What was she calling him? Her apple pies? Have you seen my apple pies?
Did you see my apple pie?
Oh my God, you did a love scene with Leonardo DiCaprio.
How was it shooting those scenes with Leo?
It was just work.
Hold on, because what Jaguar Wright has just put out there is making a lot of people rethink everything they believed about Hollywood love stories. What once looked like a smooth, picture-perfect romance is now being described as something much colder and more planned. According to Jaguar, this was not a love story falling apart. It was an illusion breaking down right in front of everyone. She claims the relationship between Teyana Taylor and Pierre did not grow from real feelings or natural chemistry. Instead, she says it was carefully put together, shaped for public attention, and sold to fans. Jaguar made it clear she believes that in Hollywood, romance only gets pushed when it benefits someone's image or career. Things get even more uncomfortable when she suggests that Aaron's success relied heavily on support from Black women, while his personal dating history may tell a different story. People online have started looking back at old photos, past events, and moments that now seem questionable. Certain public appearances, gestures, and captions are being viewed in a new light. Jaguar also questions whether Teyana, coming out of a very public divorce, needed a fresh storyline to quiet rumors and shift attention. In her view, Aaron may have been more protection than partner. If this was all staged, the real hurt is not the breakup, but the trust fans placed in something that may never have been real at all.
Shout out to Teyana Taylor! Her contract is up! Her and Aaron, I almost called him Hernandez. That's Stefan Diggs, my bad. That's not, Stefan Diggs is Aaron Hernandez, okay? Aaron Pierre, okay? What's that song? Mufasa? What's that song? Mufasa?
Yeah, that's Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Buckle up, because what is unfolding right now is not a fairy tale or a simple breakup story. It feels more like a slow and uncomfortable crash between public image, personal ambition, and a truth that refuses to stay hidden. This is the kind of situation where smiles begin to feel forced, timelines stop making sense, and the silence from the people involved speaks louder than any statement ever could. At the center of all this is Jaguar Wright, who is not speaking carefully or softly, but boldly, like someone who believes the truth has already slipped through the cracks. According to Jaguar, she did not come forward just to gossip or stir drama. She came to challenge a story that had been carefully built and sold to the public as natural, romantic, and inspiring. In her view, the relationship between Teyana Taylor and Pierre was not created by chance or emotional chemistry. She claims it was a planned alignment, something Hollywood has been perfecting for years. The kind of pairing that looks genuine enough to trend online, yet controlled enough to end quietly once its purpose is served. From the outside, everything looked perfect. Two attractive and talented people, both successful, both rising at the same time. Their photos were polished, their public appearances felt well-timed, and their energy appeared calm and intentional. But Jaguar argues that this is exactly where suspicion should begin. In the entertainment industry, timing is rarely random. It is planned. And when everything fits together too neatly, it raises the question of what is being managed behind closed doors. Jaguar alleges that Pierre's career growth placed him in front of a very specific audience, one known for deep loyalty and cultural support. This kind of support does not just boost popularity, it helps build long-term success. According to her, that backing mattered a great deal. The uncomfortable part, she claims, is that the public image did not fully line up with his private dating patterns. When similar choices repeat themselves over time, they stop feeling accidental. Names began circulating online, old connections resurfaced, and moments that once seemed harmless were suddenly viewed with more skepticism. Jaguar did not directly accuse anyone. Instead, she implied, connected dots, and let the audience draw conclusions. Once those pieces were put together, the picture no longer felt romantic. It felt transactional, at least allegedly. One moment that drew heavy attention was a wedding appearance. This was not a rumor or second-hand story, but a real event captured and shared publicly. Jaguar pointed out something many people overlooked. You do not bring just anyone to a wedding. That level of closeness, comfort, and familiarity usually comes from shared history. The body language, the proximity, and the ease between them raised questions that were never clearly answered. Later, when an image of a forehead kiss resurfaced, the conversation shifted again. It was not flashy or staged for cameras. It felt private and sincere. Jaguar argued that gestures like that do not usually belong to publicity plans. They come from real connection. Once that image circulated, the idea of a perfectly timed romance started to feel less believable. The focus then turned toward Teyana, and this is where the tone of the discussion grew heavier. Regardless of what is true, the weight of the situation seemed to fall more strongly on her. Allegedly, she was coming out of a period marked by public judgment and non-stop commentary. Her divorce was not only personal, it was dissected online, discussed endlessly, and turned into a narrative she could not escape. Jaguar suggested that in moments like that, reinvention becomes a form of survival. Image becomes protection. According to Jaguar, Teyana needed space from the noise, from the rumors, and from the speculation that followed her everywhere. In Hollywood, the fastest way to redirect attention is to give the public a new story. A clean one. A romantic one. Something visually pleasing and easy to celebrate. Allegedly, Erin fit that role perfectly. What made Jaguar's commentary more impactful was her insistence that this was not about cruelty or bad intentions. It was about systems. About how women, especially strong and outspoken women, are pushed into narratives they did not create. About how honesty can be twisted and used against them, while silence and strategy are rewarded. Jaguar referenced Teyana's own past interviews, not to shame her, but to show how differently her openness was received over time. At one point, her honesty was praised. Later, that same honesty was used to question her stability and character. Jaguar argued that when the industry applauds transparency one moment and punishes it the next, the safest option becomes silence or careful planning. Allegedly, this relationship was part of that planning. What makes the story unsettling is not any single claim, but how neatly everything seems to line up when viewed together. The timing, the presentation, the way the relationship appeared fully formed without much background. Fans who questioned it were often dismissed and told to stop being negative. Jaguar believes that questioning is exactly what should be happening. She claims Hollywood has a long history of selling dreams with expiration dates. People are paired for convenience, not compatibility, and when it ends, the breakup is framed as growing apart. As Jaguar's words spread, reactions became divided. Some accused her of bitterness, while others praised her courage. Even those who disagreed struggled to explain away the inconsistencies she highlighted. In the absence of clear answers, speculation filled the silence. If her claims hold any truth, the real tragedy is not a fake relationship, but the emotional investment millions of people placed in it. Trust was given, belief was encouraged, and authenticity may have been sacrificed. Jaguar hinted that what the public sees is only the surface. Behind every photo and appearance, there may be conversations and agreements never meant to be public. She suggested that end dates might be understood quietly, long before fans ever sense a shift. When she finished speaking, the silence that followed felt heavy, not because everything was explained, but because even more questions were created. Once the idea of orchestration enters the conversation, everything changes. Smiles start to look planned. Appearances feel scheduled. Even privacy begins to look like strategy. Jaguar went further, suggesting that people behind the scenes were deeply involved. According to her, relationships like this pass through publicists, advisors, and brand discussions. When two public figures align at the exact moment their images need protection, she claims it is rarely coincidence. She framed the situation not as romance, but as risk control. Allegedly, the relationship helped soften headlines, redirect attention, and stabilize public narratives. If that is true, then the romance itself was not the main story. It was the cover. As online discussions grew, people began digging. Old interviews resurfaced, past quotes were re-examined, and fans started questioning what they had ignored. Others pushed back, insisting not everything has to be calculated. But doubt had already entered the conversation, and doubt is hard to erase. People noticed how controlled the exposure had been. There were no messy moments, no visible conflict, no unscripted tension. Everything looked polished. Jaguar suggested that real relationships usually show cracks. This one did not. She compared the situation to other high-profile pairings that followed the same pattern. Sudden introduction, heavy promotion, shared benefit, then a quiet fade. Careers remained intact, narratives reset. According to her, this was not new. It was a familiar formula. The saddest part, she suggested, is how disposable people become in the process. Once the purpose is served, everyone is expected to move on without explanation. Sympathy began shifting because if this was planned, then everyone involved was under pressure. Pressure to appear happy, to protect brands, and to stay silent while speculation grew. Jaguar hinted that maintaining an illusion takes a toll. Living inside a story written by others can slowly wear down authenticity. Fans sense that change, and when they do, disappointment follows. Jaguar did not promise proof or final answers. She framed her words as awareness, a reminder that not everything presented as love is rooted in emotion. Some of it is rooted in image. As reactions poured in, silence from those involved only fueled more theories. Some saw it as confirmation, others as restraint. In her closing thoughts, Jaguar questioned why honesty is punished while performance is rewarded. Her tone was not celebratory. It was tired, like someone who had seen the same cycle repeat too many times. If even part of her claims are true, then what was sold as connection may have been convenience. And that realization hurts more than any breakup announcement. This story is no longer about who dated whom. It is about how easily perception is shaped, how stories are built, and how truth often gets lost when image takes priority. The lingering question is not whether the relationship will survive, but whether it ever existed outside of the framework created around it. That question remains unanswered. And maybe that is the point. In an industry built on illusion, certainty is rare. What remains is interpretation, suspicion, and the feeling that the public never saw the full picture. This was not resolution. It was escalation. Once doubt settles into a narrative this polished, it does not disappear quietly. Spreads. Appearances slow. Energy shifts. What once felt confident begins to look cautious. Jaguar suggested this stage is driven by exhaustion, not fear of exposure, but the cost of maintaining a story that no longer feels believable. Fans had invested hope, seeing the pairing as growth and healing. If that belief was crafted, then the damage is not scandal but disappointment. She framed her criticism as a challenge to a system that values image over truth. Individuals become roles, and when the narrative ends, they are left to face the fallout alone. As the discussion reached its peak, it became about trust. About how often audiences are asked to believe. About how painful it is to realize that even hope can be designed. The tragedy is not that love might have been staged. It is that authenticity has become so rare that people cling to it wherever they think they see it. Jaguar's final implication was that this cycle will repeat, because the formula works. Different faces, same strategy. When the noise settled, what remained was reflection. No confirmations. No denials. Just the sense that the story will never be seen the same way again. Once the curtain is pulled back, it never fully closes. And that, more than anything, may be the most lasting impact of all.